Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back once again to Phatkat Collections. Got another Cadola watch for you folks today. And Cadola is a brand under the Dartmouth parent company. If you're not familiar with Dartmouth, I don't have to tell you, I've been talking about it for a long time. So I'm going to kind of move the video along today a little quicker. So I'm going to share with you guys today the Cadola. This is their racing-inspired RPM automatic. And so the dial is meant to look like a tachometer, which is pretty cool. Now, full disclosure, of course, green and brown are not my favorite colors, and I think I requested a different color. I don't think I would have requested this color, but everybody likes something different. So remember, there are other color options available. We have blue on blue, black on black, brown on blue, the green on brown. And it looks like this is a newer release. This is an upgraded version. So it says here, redefined with the racing elegance. And it says the RPM. Let me just show you guys what we're talking about here so you guys don't have to skip the video ahead. You can listen to me ramble for a little bit. Love the perforated leather strap. All right, so it says here, the RPM automatic returns, revved up and redesigned with premium upgrades featuring a durable sapphire lens, a new exhibition case back. I don't know if that's necessarily an upgrade. It's more of a feature. There's no real advantage to an exhibition case back as opposed to just a hard stainless steel back. Now, when it comes to stainless steel over an exhibition, then if your primary purpose in building a watch is to have a superior dive rating, then yes, probably having stainless steel is going to be the better bet. But in this case, not really. But it is cool that it reveals the movement, motion, basically of the rotor, and they did do a pretty cool checkered flag decorated rotor we're going to show. And again, it says just choose from bold colorways: Viper Black, Racing Blue, Fire Brick Red. I don't see that one. They didn't mention the green, so I'm not sure why they didn't mention the green. But let's talk about kind of some of the specifications on it. It says here, case material, stainless steel. Generally, that's 316. Fixed bezel, anti-reflective sapphire coated lens, 24mm strap, pull-out crown, case diameter of 44mm, 5 ATMs of water resistance, and then a Japanese automatic 3 hands with date. Probably a Miyota, but like I've said many times in all these videos that I do for Dartmouth, oh, there's the red. They need to put the movement in here, so maybe they put it somewhere else. So, all right, so right now it looks like the blue is the most popular color. That is sold out. As always with anything that I review, the link is in the description. And if there is a coupon code, I will put that in the description as well. Okay, so what do I think about it, right? Let me just stop myself before I ramble on too much here. What do I think about it? So I have reviewed a watch similar to this in the past. And I think what really did it for me is the strap. And I know that's kind of odd because it's not like a major part of the watch, right? And when it comes to watches, I talk about this all the time in every single video. Number one checkbox when buying a watch is, do you like it, right? If you're a car guy, absolutely. And I am a car guy. Like I call this like Jaguar Racing Green, really, right? Even though green is like my least favorite color. It just depends on what it is. You know, this is a very race-inspired watch. And so what I can kind of picture with this watch is some nice deerskin driving gloves. Doesn't necessarily have to be in a Jaguar, but just picture, like, I'm going to give you guys a little painting in your head, right? Just kind of picture like a nice fall day. It's a little brisk. All the leaves, you have to live on the East Coast with all the beautiful leaves. Leaves all over the ground, you're like zipping down like a couple twisties. Not fast, like 30 miles an hour, right? And the leaves are all like splattering all over the place. And you just got your hand on the wheel with those deerskin gloves with this on your wrist. It really has a racing vibe. And I think that, you know, because Cadola is like a automotive race kind of inspired brand, this is just advice I like to give to companies. I think what really makes this watch, because without the bracelet or without the strap, it just kind of looks like, I know there are themes, like we're going to get to the face, right? But this just really screams like vintage racing, you know? And I think that when they make watches like this, I think, you know, I didn't look at all their other models. I've looked at them in the past, but naturally if you're on bracelet, it's going to be a different look. But I think every single watch that they make, it is just my personal opinion, we're just talking, is that I think because this is like a vintage inspired race themed watch, I think whether it's a bracelet watch on stainless steel or leather, every single bracelet or strap should have perforated holes like this. It just really links the watch, and I think it's because I picture the gloves in my mind, right, with the knuckles exposed. That to me just screams like vintage racing. I don't know, just my opinion. Whether it's right or wrong, it is my opinion. So let's start with the specifications. So they do specifically list the movement here, and they actually put it in the About Me section, or About This Watch section. So they always list on their specifications movement, Japanese automatic 3 hands with date, but they do list that it is the NH35 automatic movement in the description. It says here, keeping up the speed with style and elegance. The RPM automatic is powered by a reliable NH35 movement. The dial design of this timepiece resembles a tachometer on vehicles, which is paired with brass surface that excludes captivating shades of colors. This timepiece is completed with a genuine leather strap with the perforated design for a touch of racing style. They should do it on all their watches. Now, when it comes to the brass, I'm not sure what they're talking about. It says here, paired with brass surface. I'm just not seeing what they mean here. I'll show you guys. There's nothing on this that makes me think that there's any brass on this. So maybe, now that doesn't mean that they didn't paint the brass, that it is actually the face made of brass, but we have no way of knowing that, so it's not really, there's no real point in mentioning it because you can't tell, right? But if it is fine, whatever. They could have used any material for that matter. I think when it comes to brands mentioning things like that, it should only be mentioned if you're actually, like, if it's a noticeable feature on the watch, right? If it's a noticeable design aspect where you're like, oh, that face is kind of interesting. Is that brass? And then you're like, oh, it is brass. And I think that's, like, they have a couple screws here that might be brass, but one of them appears to be kind of red. So I don't know. I'm not really sure if that's like anodized or if that's like a heat-treated stainless steel, but, or if it's just like if it's even meant to be done. But you can see it has that tachometer kind of look. Yeah, it's unique. I think they could have, you know, and when you look at this, my mind doesn't scream, it doesn't scream to me tachometer. It's super subtle. Somebody has to read this and say, hey, that's meant to be a tachometer. I think they could have done a better job by putting, I think, the tachometer more of, I know, like, it is meant to be more vintage, but I think if you're trying to theme a watch, you should do things more noticeable. And when you look at a tachometer, typically we have, you know, the color difference. And they did this here. They have, like, you know, from like 8 all the way around to, that's really bizarre too. I'm not sure why they did that. Why am I having a hard time with this? 6, 7, okay, 8. All right, so they did 8 all the way around to 12, and then 1 through 4. You can see like between 2 and 4, they made that yellow and then red, which would indicate like red line. I think they just could have themed it a little bit better where it would be, maybe those sections would be a little more noticeable. I don't know, you might have to pick more of a modern tack and kind of duplicate that. And it's not really, this is meant to be more vintage, so I understand it. But, you know, unless somebody really tells you that it's meant to look like a tachometer, my point is, be kind of nice to look at that and be like, that looks like a tachometer. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's still a very cool looking piece. And if you are a guy who's into, you know, vintage racing and you know, shit, if you've got an old Jag or something, I mean, older than mine, right? I think this is just super British, you know? I don't know, to me, I just picture like, what do you call it? Like the Gatsby hats, you know, with a pipe hanging out my mouth and a top coat, like driving, you know. Anyway, sorry. I digress. But it is you know, it's not a piece that really, to me, like really, if you can't tell, right? That sparks tons of excitement because it's not as much my style as some of the other watches, like the Dominator Del Mar I just reviewed in that crystal like case. But it is a very nice watch, and I think when I reviewed a similar model to this, it didn't really do much for me until I put it on my wrist, and I was like, you know, I get this. So anyway, 44 millimeter case diameters, 14 millimeters in case thickness, basic round screw-on case back. You can see the exhibition window with the checkered flag, which I think looks really cool. I think they did a great job on that. It is 316 stainless steel. You do have that sapphire lens, printed indexes, pull-out crown, 24 millimeter brown, genuine leather strap, 5 ATMs of water resistance. That's about it in a nutshell. Just to give you guys a little more close-ups here. You can check out that strap. I think the strap really, if they didn't put the perforated strap, I think it would have a much more difficult time selling the whole like theme on it. But Hey, without further ado, let's throw on the wrist. Let's see if I get that same vibe I got. Yeah, I do. You know, it definitely has that vintage vibe to it. I think there's a classiness that goes with this. You know, is this kind of like, is this going to be like a go-to watch for me? Not really, but you know, there's different strokes for different folks. Now, there is one thing to be mentioned. If you are thinking, hey, I'm going to buy this and just, you know, get like a different color strap, you can kind of change it up. This does have sort of proprietary straps. So if you look at the lugs, there's actually, this is like, appears to be either there's double pins here or it's a threaded sort of like pass-through in the case. So you'll have to find, you can see that like this kind of is carved down. I don't know how to really describe this, but you just can't buy a standard strap and put it on this. You would actually have to get a strap and maybe cut it out, or maybe you can find straps. I didn't look before the video to see what's available, but it's a cool watch. And I think if you are into the whole racing thing, you know, definitely more vintage racing. What's interesting about this watch, when you think of what I like a lot of times about themed watches, is when you think about people and the things they're into. My ex-girlfriend, and you know, we don't talk anymore, and you know, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it. But I will state that you know, relationships, they come and go, they fail, you know, and people make mistakes, and I'm kind of a realist when it comes to that. Nobody's innocent, you know, and sometimes timing is everything, right? And so I try not to hold any kind of ill will towards, you know, people and stuff. So, but I think it is important a lot of times when you like their family. And so this reminds me of my ex-girlfriend's father, honestly, because he actually races like these, I don't know if they're like older, I think they're like older vintage cars. I don't know much about like what you'd call it, but it is sort of like a vintage car racing. It's like, I don't know if it's an old MG's racing or what, but it's pretty cool. It's like this pelican blue or like Smurf blue color. I know at one point my ex-girlfriend put like his number and like on a plaque and or something like that. It was a long time ago, but when I think of a watch like this, I instantly think of him, because this would be right up his alley. It has that vintage racing vibe, and so I think there's thousands of people who are really into that whole vintage racing thing, and I think this would definitely be, I think a guy like that would love a watch like this. I think it'd be even cooler if they, you know, I don't know how big something like that is, but one thing I do find when it comes to like, you know, those kind of cars, people are always having like their own kind of colors. I think this is a case where if you're making a watch like this, it would be really cool for them to have, you know, maybe put a standard lug width on that so somebody could really customize this, but have like different colors too. You know, imagine if like this was Smurf blue to match his car, or if you just had a black face and you could get a strap on it that was like the, you know, blue. I don't know, just a little more customization. I'm just trying to think of like pictures of cars I've seen, you know, and red comes to mind, like in those kinds of, I think the colors I chose here are super conservative. And I think that's great if you're looking to just kind of, you know, wear, you know, you're not looking to, I don't know, just trying to, I like to try to think outside the box with some of these things. So, but I think like when I think of guys who are into vintage racing, guys like my ex-girlfriend's father does this, like the car is loud, like it's got like a very loud color. Why not? And I understand pelican blue or like a turquoise blue may not be, you know, the most popular color, but like companies do make it. You know, they do make the you know, the Tiffany blue is very popular. You see a lot more baby blues nowadays. You know, Docs is doing like that turquoise kind of Smurf blue. So, you know, red, yellows, you know, brighter colors, I think, would have been better than more of these subdued colors. But nevertheless, it's still a cool watch, and I think, you know, it's definitely going to, I think, do well. You have all the check boxes when it comes to that sapphire crystal, NH35 movement, 316 stainless steel, quality materials like leather. You know, I mean, there's not really much else you can really put in this watch to give you, you know, that standard of quality, I think, that, you know, most watch collectors look for, right? All right, so pricing on this, let's see here, 300 bucks. The blue is gone. I think that blue, yep, the racing blue is gone. It does look like there is a coupon code. I'll put that in the description, and it'll get you 20% off. So not too bad. You get this for what, $240? You know, not a bad price for getting a watch with these specifications. And ultimately, though, number one is, you know, like for me personally, I love cars, but actually looks pretty cool on the wrist. but it wouldn't be like, it's, you know, it's not gold and gaudy, you know what I mean? So it's not like one I typically would really go for. But I do wear all kinds of watches, and now if this was done in white on white, that would be a great color combination too. So sometimes that's all it takes to really make you really want to watch is the color. But anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I want to always thank Dartmouth for their generosity in this ongoing collaboration with Phat Kat Collections. It is really fun and really cool to get these watches to share with you guys. And remember, I kind of got off track a little bit with the watch reviews. I'm going to try to do these videos where I do one standard format, one up close and personal video. So I'll always link to those in the description. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and take care.